Do my lips look dry and cracked in the corner?
Girl.
Okay.
Just test it.
I wanted to put the Cypher shirt on.
Yeah. Wear the Cypher shirt. Gotta wear the Cypher shirt.
Just took a nap after I woke up, brushed my teeth.
I'm on the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge. I'm on the edge of glory.
Are you sure it's gory?
I'm in a moment with Salina and Victor and
I don't know it's gory.
and Juanita and Juanito means really.
Oh, God. Okay, and when you are ready, we're gonna start with what your name is and what you do for Cypher.
Okay. Hello, I'm Victor Lucero. I am the lead instructor and founder of Cypher Arts. So Cypher is an artistic collaboration amongst artists. It could so a Cypher can be in dance, and it's a dance. It's like a Cypher circle when people kind of vibe off each other. It's also in music, and most of the time, like jazz is a form of a Cypher. You can have it in spoken word, where it's an artistic collaboration coming together in multiple art forms and making something beautiful. It's almost like a mosaic. Take all these broken pieces, bringing them together, presenting this mosaic as a beautiful art piece. I mean, there's nothing else like it.
So, are there any memorable stories that you have with a student that you can share?
I have tons of memorable stories, and they're literally, there's too many to mention. But there are instances that stand out to me, especially when we bring in kids to our program that have bruised faces. Sorry.
Get ready. Get ready.
Teacher, when can I
Go right here.
Hey,
Ready?
teacher, I
Go,
wanna
go.
I want to play real soccer. Teacher, I want to draw like to
Challenge him.
I want to go.
Okay, better.
No, I want to draw like to Aaron. Can we do
Who's gonna challenge who?
First, I want you to start with your name and what you do here at Cypher.
Okay, perfect. David Alfaro Solis, and this summer doing a role of mindful movement, allergic to average, more what you would think about maybe physical education type of course, but the difference is we are adding a thinking component to physical movement.
Eric?
Now, last week we talked about learning a new skill and teamwork. So you'll do teamwork in the second game. The first game is going to be individual and learning something new. If you're in the world of sports or when you're thinking of physical activity, getting you to think about what you're doing, getting you to concentrate on moves, improvement, teamwork, strategy, I don't think it's taught enough. So we are adding that extra thinking, critical thinking rapidly while you are playing or moving physically at a high exertion level. So that's a little different from maybe a typical physical education course.
I remember you.
Everybody say hi, Coach Milano.
Hi, Coach Celina.
Say hi, Coach Milano.
Hi, Coach Celina.
Knees. Okay, so the first skill you do like a frisbee. Coach, can you show him what to do? No, hold on. He's gonna get behind the cone, coach. And he's gonna do the frisbee method, and you're gonna try to make it into that hoop. That's the first one.
I know.
Okay, once you make it, he's gonna make it. Then once you make it, you grab your hula hoop, you run, you do not pass the rope. This is where There you go. Keep going. Go up to the basket. Try like a frisbee like I did yesterday. There you go.
Good job. That was your first try?
Critical thinking is a skill set that can be used, transferable skills throughout your whole life. So to develop that, I was able to develop that in a very late stage of my life. It wasn't until graduate school. And critical thinking is very important because it gets you to think about beyond what people call in the box, get you to think about different things, different angles, whether it be later in life politically, whether it be later in life culturally. But you need to start that as early as you can with students. And I don't think we push our students enough. I think we lowball. So I think putting the standard really high, let them reach up, let them grow.
My name is Matt Lee, and I have a partnered program with Cypher Arts.
We can't do that. In fact, to be able to come back to this ability to control, we crave it because if there's one thing that's absolute in our world, in your day, every single day when you wake up, it's change. Because they can't control everything that's happening and going around. They try to like manipulate and unhealthy ways of controlling situations, people, things like that.
I had launched Allergic to Average in 2015 at that point. And so Victor kind of just tracked with me throughout, the building that and letting it grow into what it is. And so eventually we talk about, letting that be a part of what Cypher does and the schools that he's involved in. And so that's brought us to this summer. So Allergic to Average is, we call it it's a way of thinking, it's a mentality, it's a lifestyle, and it's a movement. And so at the end of the day, just being allergic to something is to have nothing to do with it. And at the end of the day, I think when we're talking about this idea of average, everybody comes from just an average way of being. And so as we get past this discomfort in life that we face sometimes as we get past the easier route, or the path of least resistance. Like, we can get to what is unlocking the allergic to average within us.
Good words. I like to always ask them, what is the mindful movement? What does that mean? What could that mean? In your words, if someone was to ask me, hey, what is a mindful movement? What would you say? What could that mean? Yes. Okay, perfect. Yes. We're thinking, okay, about our actions. We're thinking about what we're doing, okay? Your reaction even, right? All right, so even with that, right, having friends, having family members, you have to be mindful about how you treat them, how you want to be treated, right? How do you communicate if something's not fair, right? Something that doesn't seem like it's going your way. Because a lot of times if we don't think before we do, then we end up in trouble, or we end up getting into these positions where we're like, oh, why did I do that, right? Always making decisions, right? You're always having to think. And it doesn't change all day long. You come to school, you got mindful movements with your schoolwork, right? So sometimes we do physical, like mindful movements where you're doing ninja. You get how many moves in ninja? How many? Okay, you only get one, right? You're right there. Hey, take it out. Okay, my move. Okay. Okay. Your move. I got one. Yes.
I guess some of the fundamental things, as far as, when I talk about the mind, a lot of times, especially with the younger demographic, elementary school, middle school, it's getting them to realize that there's things that you have to become more aware of. I mean, it's building their awareness, observation. A lot of times, we are simply brilliant the more that we notice things. And so reaction is one of those. There's not a day that goes by from being in your room and something slips to reacting to what the world throws at you sometimes. And so it's not something that is just you're born with a great reaction, or you're really good at reacting. It's a skill we build, like a muscle, and the more we become aware of it, the more that we're able to use it in a really effective way.
Okay, so today is a competition. Now, does everybody know what assuming is? If I were to say, I assume your favorite color is red. Wondering, okay. I assume your favorite food is watermelon. Because you have a thing. To assume is to just think whatever I want to think. Or I could observe, I could ask a question, I could say, what is your favorite fruit? Apple. So I was wrong, right? I assumed it was watermelon because she's wearing a watermelon sticker, but I observe and I'm going to ask, and so I ask and I find out her favorite fruit is an apple. This year we were, what is the word? Given the challenge of sharing a session between poetry and art. Today is all about observing well, okay? So we're going to observe well instead of assuming. I'm gonna draw 3 shapes on the board, and I want you just to copy it as best as possible. And we're gonna see if you assume more or if you observe more. Obviously it's not perfect, but this is an oval. Yes, everybody did up and down? Okay. Now that you know what I'm looking for, I want you to observe well, read them, that the square has 4 equal sides, right? And that this is a... Better. Your circle and your... This past week was observation over assumption. And so just really teaching them to critique each other well. I would critique them, they would critique each other. Really being descriptive in your understanding of what's wrong rather than just saying this is wrong or this is right, this looks good and this looks bad. Can you give descriptive words that actually help us to get better? Okay, so I'm gonna start with the oval head. Oops, I didn't even close it at the top. Oval. Okay, what shape are his eyes? Ovals again. And then his neck and his arms are made of the same skinny lines.
This space here is good. So all in all, you only got one thing wrong. So that would be.
Can you be a good friend to me so I can
So
grow?
I would say,
Yes, tell me.
so if you pay attention closely to the collar here, so on the photo, like this side, the right side is lower than the left side, but in his drawing, the left side is lower than the right side. I'm deducting 50 points.
I'm Nathan Rainey. I am the instructor for language arts, poetry, and spoken word.
It is. Flowers. What do you think?
Definitely.
A typical session inside of poetry and language arts really just depends on the segment. We really first start off by introducing them to just what poetry is as an art form or concept, and just having that discussion, and then move into breaking down kind of the elements or ingredients of poetry, having them work with rhythm, rhyme, some of those tools of figurative language, and then getting into analyzing poetry. Now, these are separate sessions, each one of those things. Analyzing poetry in terms of identifying mood and theme. But the part that I'm most surprised by the students and the part that I most enjoy is when we get to the space where we can free write. And we're talking about really just expressing who we are through our writing and who, or really how we see the world as well.
My name is Voss.WriterDirector and I'm a dance instructor. I just enjoy teaching overall. I think students are amazing. I love working with kids. The way that they appreciate the arts is very affirming for me in the work that I do. And now living here, I've been able to expand and I've been able to offer different services for the students, whether it be ballet, whether it be folklorico or flamenco. These students are just so talented, and it's the way that they grow when they're able to be part of a program that lets them expand in their talents and lets them be creative and lets their output kind of shine. So what I enjoy the most is really the students and working with the kids and building the relationships that we have throughout the years. And then just going back and then seeing that they have blossomed over the years, and that's the thing that I enjoy the most.
If you want to have your shoulders, let me see. Grab your shoulders. Teachers, if I can get someone's help on this side, please. Teachers, if I can get someone's help on this side. Thank you. Are we ready? No. Nope. Here we go.
My name is Charlene Diane Alsip. I am an art teacher here at Cypher Arts. And wait, what was the question again? Baby, I'm on the right track. Baby, I was born this way. What I enjoy the most about teaching in this program is connecting with the kids and seeing them light up when I teach them something new, or they realize that they do have that gift of artistry inside of them. Yes, strawberries. So yeah, so we're still working on the bottom part, you know, with painting and all that stuff. We'll work on that today. But these vegetables and fruits. These vegetables and fruits are all native to the land here, and we have the woman who is the worker, and then over here, what do you guys see? We're still working on this side some more. So what does this look like? A map? Yeah, a scroll. So this is a scroll. That's like a really old book. Like in the older days, like back in the day, they would write on scrolls, and that's how they would record their history. And then over here, we actually have actual books and then more scrolls. So this man, he's like the old, wise traveler, making an adventurer, and he's gonna represent wisdom. So this whole entire mural piece represents something significant and important to what this place is. Cool, right? Yeah. So you have to take your time. And I'm gonna show you guys how to do the brush strokes. You have to be slow and gentle, not like, that's what's gonna happen if you're like, yeah, literally, it's gonna look like a mess. It's gonna spontaneously combust.
Kind of like big vultures.
Yeah, these are giant bulls, but they're kind of like giant bulls.
Yeah, so their wingspan can get up to 9 feet tall, 9 feet long. So this is how long.
9 feet long.
This is how huge. It looks like a big
Have you
turkey.
heard of the world's tallest man? But yeah,
That's
not large.
Imagine a big bird over you this size.
That'd be scary.
Is that crazy?
I wish I had that.
One of the most beautiful things that I have the opportunity of doing is being a director myself, and also working with these other directors. We just don't bring in anybody off the streets. I mean, you have to have multiple talents, you have to have multiple gifts and education. You can have the best education in the world, but without the experience, it's not worth much. And we have tons of experience amongst our instructors. We have to be able to work with kids. We have to have good classroom management. We don't just babysit kids. It's an after-school program and an in-school program where we truly feed into kids. The magic that takes place within a moment of collaboration, the magic that happens in that moment can only be described as a cipher. But it's beautiful because it's unplanned. It's impromptu. It comes together beautifully, and it creates. So that's kind of what we do here at Cypher, not only with the kids that are involved, the students that are involved, but we do it as instructors.
No net. You sure? No net.
What are you doing on the Nice! No, stop!
I love vibing with them. I love the multiple art forms that come into Cypher with the dance, with the poetry, with even the physical fitness program that we have, challenging their mindsets. It's just beautiful to see us all come together and work together and to make a difference in schools and communities.
Lord, I got scared. Let's go right here. You ready? What is this?
We ourselves as instructors actually come together as a cipher, in a cipher, not just to do a regular after-school program, but we come together and we go by curriculum, and we have our set curriculum that we have set to California Standards of Education. But it's so much more than that. Kids love coming into our classes. They love coming in and painting. They love the instructors. The instructors, what actually makes it special is that they come from all areas of life and backgrounds, and we're able to connect with the kids, I think, than the average program.
I've been involved with Cypher on and off for over 20 years. So I've had a very unique perspective with Victor Lucero, or as the kids refer to him as Mr. Victor, for a long, long time.
I was first engaged with Cypher about, I always want to say 10, but it was more like 12 years ago.
So I met Victor almost 10 years ago.
I became involved with Cypher when I was about 14 years old. It was my freshman year of high school.
Yeah, see, that's why I need you here. Maybe if Victor sits there with you.
If you want it.
If y'all are together, it feels like I'm talking to my friends, you know what I mean?
Is she recording?
That all our instructors have a heart in what they do in their work. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. They put their passion into it. And that's what makes it so special.
Yeah, it gives some good like little B-roll. Uh-huh. Do you feel like you're okay? Oh, did it break?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's okay. What are you learning through Cypher Arts?
Poetry, art, some pretty fun stuff.
So, do you like poetry more or art?
Poetry. I like reading, so it's a thing that I like reading, but it's also another thing that I'm learning how to write better stories every time.
What kind of stories does poetry inspire you to write?
Probably like haiku, more haiku, like nature. I could just go outside and get my inspiration from things.
Favorite things to study with Cypher through Cypher Arts?
Poetry, because he showed me how to express myself in a way that I never knew I could. I'm usually always keeping these things in my head and I'm always locked up. But with poetry, I write it on a piece of paper and I show a way to express myself without people knowing this is how I actually feel. And with people telling me, just write how you feel on a piece of paper. I do, but it's not special because people know this is how I feel then. I don't want people to know how I feel, but I want to share how I feel. So if I do this, I can just write a poem. People are gonna be like, oh, that's a great poem. But they're never gonna know that that's how I actually feel.
I do have like a picture of her poem.
Oh, yes.
Here. She wants to.
You want to read it? Thank you. I was gonna find it somehow.
So the poem is called Galaxy Lights. I see the galaxy. The colors are blinding me. I can feel the light against my body. It's like my past life. This was my first ever poem. This was my first year of Cypher Arts when I wrote this. Usually this poem here came from when I was trying to find my personality. I was over there copying other people's personality when I couldn't find who I really wanted to be. When I got to poetry class, I expressed myself and found who I really am.
Is there anything you would like to say about Cypher Arts other than what you expressed?
They're very kind people. Once you get to know them, they're fun. And like, you know, when you're in the classroom, you're like, everyone has to be quiet. Yeah, that's how it is. But once you get over there, we have Mr. Nathan, who's the most dramatic, and I love it about him. And then Mr. Antonio, who's always giving us this little accent, which is the best. And then Ms. Laura, who's always hyping us up. and I love everything about them.
I've heard it too many times before. They pretend to play and change their tune, but nobody's got a different score. They all sound the same, regardless of the names they call. Every summer, every spring, and every fall, years go by, but the sneers and lies, they linger, scratching at my joy like their fingers on a chalkboard, and then these scars would talk more if you would care to listen. But you've heard it too many times before. Now worldly wisdom's waxed your ears, and you think that you know more about me than me, as if I couldn't see my own reflection. But I'm no stranger. I've known stranger things, like you stuck in the upside down, robbing crowns from kings, but not this one. Not today. No matter all the things that you might say, those sticks and stones may break my bones. Still, words might do worse. If I hadn't cared to care for me, find out who I am first. So don't call me if you don't know me. Don't call me names. Don't call me she. Don't call me he, or by any other pronoun until you know the pro you found is great. But for you, if you feel lost, like you don't even know yourself, it's not too late. And in that case, you should call me. But just remember, when you say my name, I identify as great.
I like to get inspiration from stuff. So if I go outside and find a leaf, I can write about a leaf, like falling down from a tree. But if I go inside and I see a glass vase, sometimes I write about a glass vase. So I like to get inspiration from stuff that I like and I see. I'm like a vase. I'm soft and delicate. When you drop me, I shatter into little pieces.
Are there any memorable stories that you have with a student that you can share?
I have tons of memorable stories, and they're literally there's too many to mention. But there are instances that stand out to me, especially when we bring in kids to our program that have bruised faces. Sorry.
It's okay.
Whoa, okay. And I remember in the first grade, we had an opportunity to enter an art contest. And I was really excited to do it. I knew I was slightly more gifted than other students. So I wanted to, we had our backgrounds, and we had to pick out our construction paper to put our actual artwork, to frame it. And we would display, or the school would display all our art pieces in the gym. And I was excited to see if my art piece had placed. So I remember walking in there and I saw second place, which was a red ribbon. And I saw the art, and I was really impressed as a kid. And I'm like, mine is way better than this. I must have gotten first place. And I look and I saw the third place one, and I was like, okay, this is, I for sure, have first place somewhere. And then I actually ran into the blue ribbon, and it wasn't mine. I remember thinking, like, well, why didn't I place? I put so much, effort into the art piece. And I looked all around and I could not find my picture. And I remember like just going and thinking it must have gotten lost, and I went to my first grade teacher and asked her why my art wasn't displayed. And she tells me, "Oh, here, Victor, I have it right here." And she gave it back to me and she said, you traced, and we had to disqualify your art. And I was like pleading with her, I didn't trace, that came from like my heart, that came from, and it was a real elaborate background and the scenery, and it had animals and birds, and I just like put a lot of effort into it. And she told me that she wasn't allowed to accept it because they thought it was a forgery, they thought it was traced. Remember how crushing that was at the first grade. I was probably about 6 years old, and going home and showing my mom and crying to my mom and how they thought I had traced. And just then my dad walked in and asked why I was crying, and he grabbed the art and he threw it in the trash and told me that he didn't want me focusing on art, that he wanted me to focus on my academics, that I was dumb anyway, that I was never gonna go anywhere with art, so I had to focus on my math and my science and my normal academic classes. And that kept me for years from doing my art, even though it came naturally. And my dad was really abusive, and he would sometimes, of course, like lay hands on us, and we had some hard upbringing. But understanding, what I know now, and of course, knowing my dad's background and how he was an ESL student and how his dad never nurtured him. He never had the example of a nurturing father. So it was really difficult for himself to be nurturing. And my father, being an artist himself, would always suppress the art because of the mentality that, the stereotype, you're never gonna you're never gonna get paid if you're an artist, you're never going to be successful as an artist. So that was always, and I didn't start actually painting years later because of that stigma. But some of the stories that I have is kids coming into our class with similar backgrounds, with possibly like bruises from parents that are supposed to protect and take their anger out on their children and send them to school, when we're able to So being in this arena for over 20 years, we've seen several cases of abuse or of all types of scenarios, all types of situations, and really rough backgrounds. But the most fulfilling part is that we're able to accept them into our class and understand where they're coming from. Us as instructors, none of us are perfect. We all have rough backgrounds, and I welcome that because we're able to have a connection with the kids that maybe most people wouldn't otherwise. And we're able to speak into their lives and speak life and set an example for them. Like, we were there and we understand, and it gets easier when you're older. And to speak into their lives and to motivate them to become the best versions of themselves, there's no price tag you can put on that work. There is nothing more fulfilling that we can do in our lives to compare to that personally. Well, just working with all types of districts, all types of backgrounds, working in the heart of LA, in South Central LA, to the farmlands up here in the Central Coast. You have literally thousands of students that you're able to learn from yourselves and to be able to adjust on your teaching with. But it's far more than just teaching a class. I really think it's therapy. And myself as an art therapist understand that art changes lives. Art has the capability, has the power to speak in a language that only artists understand, to speak in a language that's so refreshing to a young mind that might be suppressed or might be questioning themselves as a person or questioning themselves as a student. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And giving them the platforms and the opportunities to really shine and to for students themselves to discover who they really are inside, that they won't have to rely on the words of a friend or peer pressure or fall into an identity crisis, because we give them a sense of pride where they understand who they really are now, and that they can actually make a living doing what they love in the future, and we welcome that.
Like, okay, I'm just gonna talk like we're actually right now. Like just listening to you talk, like you're not just talking to the students, like you're talking to me. You're talking to the person, like when I wanted to do my artwork, because I always knew there was something greater inside of me. I just didn't know how to discover it or what it was. And when, with my artwork and everything, and when my whole family, besides my sister, they didn't believe in me. Like they told me, like, what are you doing, Charlene? Like, you're gonna not make money. You need to go to college. You need to do this. You need to do that. But like, I just knew inside of me that was not what I was meant to do. I was meant to do something with this gift, and I did not want to die with it. I did not want to go through the rest of my life regretting not embracing the full, fruition of my gift if I work at it. And so, like when you're talking about having kids, let me go back. It's just I don't like it when the camera's on, because I feel like it's stunting what I really want to say. It's like going through the struggles that I went through. Like I wish I found you sooner, because then I wouldn't have been so by myself. I wouldn't have discovered how to do everything by myself, and I'm grateful for that. But if I had found you sooner, then maybe I could have done more sooner with my life, with my gift. But for these kids, having Cypher, maybe they don't have to go through that. Or if they're already in it, there's a way out.
Yeah. No, that's a fact. The thing that, that's so powerful about what you guys are doing, is those kids.
Yeah.
You're giving them an option.
Yeah, because they're
a lot of kids don't think that they have choices.
Yeah.
A lot of kids think that this is who I am.
Yeah.
I'm stuck here.
They think that they have to get a job and never truly live the life that they knew they were meant to find.
It's like you guys are finding these kids in a box room.
Yeah.
Where they think that the only way that's out is locked, and yet you guys just made a window.
Yeah, or the only option is what their parents tell them, what everybody else tells them. It's because they care or whatever, but there's that stigma with art that it's not successful. But art is one of the closest things to God, because the whole world is art. He created the world the way it is. Everything is art. From the design of our faces, how perfect they are in our own bodies and our individuality, to the air, to the stars in the sky, and the colors that just intertwine, everything is art. And it's
well, art can be measured by monetary gains. Yeah. And that's what I think the world has a hard time understanding, is that art is not just about survival.
Yeah, exactly. It's
art
not about
is actually
that.
About life.
Exactly.
And living, and like I said, with these kids, they're expressing, and they get to share what's in them.
Yeah.
How does painting make you feel?
It makes me feel very calm and very happy. it makes it like sometimes like a lot of my paintings show how I feel sometimes. It's really fun. Today in Cypher Arts, I learned about Leonardo da Vinci. One of the things I remember is that he tried to make a replica of the helicopter.
Very cool.
And in Cypher Arts, I also learned how to paint a lot and do some shading and shadows and And I also tried to express my feelings while painting the strawberry and stuff.
Okay, which one did you do?
I did this one right down here. I tried my best.
Okay, so of all the things that you could do in Cypher, what is your favorite thing to do?
This easy question, poetry.
Poetry, hands down, snaps. Why do you like poetry?
Because it's like, I mean, for me, I find it easy. Like, just like words come into your head, and then you could just like make a whole entire like poem with that. I've never done poetry before Cypher.
What attracted you to poetry?
Just the way like people express themselves, the way like they can just like write like whatever comes up in their minds, and how people read it and they think it's like good.
So you think poetry can help people?
I mean, sure.
How?
It can. What about a happy poem? Maybe people can smile again.
Yeah.
People can start smiling.
Has poetry made you smile?
I mean, yes, I like it. Like I do write poems, but they never heard them. So it's like they're Spanish speakers. So like, how like it's for them hard to understand it.
Have you thought of doing your poems in Spanish?
Maybe.
You want to try one day, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and share with them. I think they would love it to hear what's on your heart or hear what you...
This is the one she was just talking about, actually.
Awesome.
Do I read it?
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
I feel the air through my feathers. I can feel the clouds brush the air. I see monkeys banging on trees. I smell the scent of mangoes around. I see the trees sway around me. I hear the gliders around me. Swoosh. I feel the vibe around me like music chords moving and then it vibrates. I can smell the air through my beak. I am in Brazil, where birds sing and sway and speak. This is my home and where I belong, and no one will take my home from me. This is my story and how I see the world in my view. And you get to see this in my little feet, and I get to see the world in your shoes as a human, and you as a bird. There.
Wow. Made by you.
With me, success is probably measured a little bit differently than the others. It's really something that's on an individual basis for the students. I just want them to move from where they are to a space of greater competency, greater comprehension. A student may never get better at poetry, but they can get better at speaking, more comfortable with that. They may never get better at figuring out rhythm or rhyme or how to put those things together, but they can get better at how to articulate themselves in writing, how to structure a story, how to express what they really want to say. And I think another measure of progress, I would say, is them figuring out who they are. And I don't really get to decide what that looks like, but they love it.
Some brushes and then pass it down.
I got the brushy. What?
Yeah.
This here. What is this here? Is it like a knife?
You can fill your thing with more than just Gary, but you have 10 minutes to do it. Well, not even. You have 6 minutes now, okay?
That was getting more bluer.
You need water? Water's here.
This is
Oh, you need
getting more
cake.
bluer. Hey, I'm gonna put some drip on Gary real quick.
Nice. Very good. If you go like this really quickly, then you'll be able to add in some extra colors as well.
I changed my hair. Should I have?
No, you're
not?
fine.
Okay.
You're fine. It's recording, so if anything, I'll just show you. Be like,
So the things that make life beautiful are all the little moments. And as an artist, we see the little moments. We see the color, we see the lines, the shape, we see the flutter of the wing, we see the ombre and the petal of a flower. Like, you know, we see the sky and we're like, wow, like it's not only the sunset, it's how the rays are hitting the mountain. And, you know, so like life is beautiful because of the little things, and we're teaching the kids to see the little things, therefore they become more grateful and appreciative of life. And so expression is such a practice that needs to be taught. Otherwise, all kids are going to see is what they see on social media, what is being told for them to express, what is being told for them to experience. And they're not experiencing life through their own lens. They're experiencing it through the lens of someone who is doing it better. And so I think I grew up in a world, my parents taught me to love life and to make an adventure out of anything. That's why I love art so much, because art is an adventure. One day it's going to be clean and sharp, and another day it's going to be a total expression of madness. And I can be both, and they're both needed, and they're both wanted, and they're both beautiful, and sometimes they're not. You know, and so it's all of the above, that both the ugly and the beautiful are needed. And again, all the expression. If I see a kid, like today I had a kid draw SpongeBob shooting Patrick, you know, and it's like a bloody mess. It's like, what I like that you did was that the gun was 3D and the blood was, you know, like, so it's needed. Express, have fun, enjoy. There has to be areas of life where you can use your imagination. Because if your imagination is not being used, once again, you become a robot in life. You become a puppet. And we want our kids to grow up not to be puppets, not to be parrots of society and politics and all these things. We want them to be able to think on their own, express on their own, articulate on their own. And if they can learn that in the simplest things, they can learn that in the grander things. And they don't even know it. It's a subconscious teaching. Also, back to the little things. One of the classes, they had to listen to the sound of the jungle and create. And they mentioned that they could hear water, they could hear rain, they could hear the birds chirping, and maybe the trees, you know, dancing in the wind. But then we said, okay, and what don't you hear that is there? And they're like, wet rocks, a lizard crawling by. I see a deer coming out of the bush, right? And so all those things were not sounds or even images that they could see, but suddenly their worlds became more beautiful because they were taught to express and taught to imagine, taught to go somewhere. It's the same when you're reading a book. I don't read often, but when I hear of those who are readers, they say, I'm entering into worlds. And when they see the movie that was expressed later, they're like, that was not the world I created, and I hate it. And so in the same way, we're teaching kids to see a much more beautiful world by learning to observe, learning to express, learning to imagine. And again, I think all of that matters. When we perceive the world, the people around us, we could assume, let's just say it's a broken person. We could assume how broken they are, or we can imagine the worlds they're from and we can have compassion, right? So it's like if you can look past the surface and you can look past what you've been told to see, then you can really think more deeply. And so, yeah, I think there's so much of that. That's the best way I could say. We need to learn to express, and we need to learn to imagine, and we need to learn to see beyond what's being shown.
I think last year, the thing that I was most gripped by was one student was really quiet at the start of the year and spoke with a lisp. and kind of shy, a little bit. She was one of those that once she got the pen in her hand and got the availability to be like, I can write about anything I want. And not just from me, but from the other leaders as well, had all been really kind of motivating her to dig inside of herself and discover who she was. She was one of the poets that got to speak in last year's performance, and the one that composed the longest poem as well, and spoke most poignantly about herself. Even the opening line, she said, I am fierce, are you? And she showed herself to be that here.
I am fierce. Are you? I am sometimes red. Are you? Dark but light, like every night. But sadly mostly dark. But my attitude is very bright. Sometimes I drown in a sea of emotions, but stuck with one emotion, anxiety. This, I don't tell much, but it's true. Look at me. This is me. As you can see, skinny or not, that doesn't mean I'm not pretty. Beauty is within you. Find it and you find you. You might think you're ugly, and if people say true, it's not true. They're just jealous of you. That is true.
That is amazing. Good job. Make sure. That doesn't make me cry.
Me too, man.
So
Ooh.
you're gonna run out, you're gonna sit down, you're gonna hold up your symbol. If you're X, if you're O. Turn it around. We're ready. We're ready. Hey. Right. 3, 3, 3! X? No, that's an O. Where? X? Irma? What are you, X? Oh yeah, there's 3 X's right there.
And 3 O's.
Oh, and the 3 O's are on the front? Okay, they got to be offset.
What you know is what you live. So depending on what you were taught, what you think you know, a lot of that has to come back to building this ability to look, I guess, at a different lens for yourself, at life. A lot of times your upbringing, what you saw growing up, what you were kind of programmed to believe throughout life is a lot different than somebody else's. And so, yeah, I would say like building an awareness to your own brilliance, building an awareness to your own greatness, building an awareness to the fact that you can live a life just as an average person. That's totally an option. But building an awareness to like there's more to you or to the individuals that we work with than just what they see or what they think every single day.
These human beings come with some may come with certain PTSD. And I know you hear that, some folks will say, well, I don't know how much I believe in that. When a student is hungry, when a student is maybe not being abused physically, but is seeing others being abused. When a student is from a certain neighborhood, and the parent is a great parent, but this parent has to have 3 jobs to put food on that table. And maybe they're not around a lot. The student will internalize sometimes that the parent doesn't love them. Or a student may misinterpret life like we all do growing up. I think we all have stories where we misinterpret things. You have to be sensitive to that. If a student is acting up, quote unquote, or if a student doesn't look healthy or hungry, or if a student looks tired and is sleeping, you cannot just assume that the student is being disrespectful as an educator. You cannot just assume that that student is being aggressive because that's a bad student. If a student is witnessing violence, if a student is seeing that, they may be projecting something that they're seeing. So you have to look through a lens of a human level before you get into your curriculum. As a teacher, as an educator, as a teacher assistant, as a principal, as a counselor, whatever your role is, you have a position of power. you have a position of influence. What are you going to do with it, right? So even asking and tapping in on a human level with that student, they're going to feel that somebody cares. So of course, children may not communicate as much as adults. So some of it is asking, but then also doing something about it when something is disclosed. If they're hungry, that math lesson is not so important. We're gonna go to the cafeteria, we're gonna get you an orange juice, we're gonna get you a piece of toast. I believe in structure, I believe in schedules, I believe in discipline. Children strive under structure, so I'm a believer in that. But sometimes that's not life. Life is messy. We're not making automobiles, we're not making widgets, we're making human beings. And when you're making human beings, you have to have structure, but also enough room to be flexible to deal with what's going on.
When a teacher has a presupposition of a learning disorder or a child that might be difficult to handle in a regular classroom setting, it's challenging. It might be challenging for them, but for us, we welcome those students. That's who we were as kids. We were that restless child. We were that kid with ADHD. We were that kid with dyslexia. We were that kid with learning disorder. Sometimes they might not act normal per se, but in our classes, they really thrive, and we give them that platform to come in and to learn and to do their very best. And a lot of times their very best is what's going to change the trajectory of their lives. In the heart of LA, in South Central LA, to the farmlands up here in the Central Coast, you have literally thousands of students that you're able to learn from yourselves and to be able to adjust on your teaching with. But it's far more than just teaching a class. I really think it's therapy, and myself as an art therapist understand that art changes lives. Art has the capability, has the power to speak in a language that only an artist understands, to speak in a language that's so refreshing to a young mind that might be suppressed or might be questioning themselves as a person or questioning themselves as a student. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And giving them the platforms and the opportunities to really shine.
What we're doing matters because there's only so many individuals who can dedicate their lives to students, whether it be teachers, administrators. I think that coming in from the arts perspective, we're able to offer something very different, something very unique. We're able to kind of pinpoint on different students' interest. So for example, maybe some students are really, really interested in dance and others are really, really interested in some other art. But we're able to really cater to that and offer these students choices, which is really, I think, what these students need, is being able to have that choice to make of what they see themselves doing, what interests them, and continue to provide them with an outlet at the end of the day.
What is some of the most fun memories you've had with just hanging out with Cypher?
Oh man, that's the beautiful part, because it could be the smallest things like playing Remy Cube at the table and talking and being competitive, because there's nothing to worry about. It's healthy, like, competition. It's so I think having those beautiful small moments, to yesterday being on what felt like a mountaintop.
shot. Wait, no, but don't do that, please. I am the shot.
He said, I am the shot.
Full of baloney. 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 Here we go again. Go. Ready? Nice, you got a light show. Go DJ! 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 Put some WD-40 on the hips. There you go. There you go.
Dancing in, flashlights off of our cell phone and using a small Bluetooth speaker and not even getting to see the fireworks. It's like we were the show. We were like the explosions going on. And so just having like these, it doesn't have to be pretty and, like we have to have all these things set up and established for it to be like a great time. Like I said, it could just be walking around, the neighborhood. It could be sitting here playing a game, or it could be dancing on a mountaintop together. Like no matter, it could be in the van, jamming out, laughing, playing games.
No one.
Okay, now I'm ready.
Hey, they're waiting for you up top, David, for autographs.
I don't know.
Woo!
Are you good? Can you? Yeah, think about the children.
That was good.
Red dolphins in the water go
All through the town.
And it's like, that's an incredible feeling to have, especially with what was strangers not too long ago, but feels like, hey, we've all grown up like since middle school together. That's what it feels like. And I think that's probably the biggest like joy of like being around, it doesn't matter what we're doing or where we're at. We know it's going to be fun because it's family.
Sometimes I have to remind myself that this is my job. I mean, it's so much more than that. And even the time spent with the other instructors, I mean, we're family. We really treat it as such. And knowing that they're coming into not just a job or not just, an organization, but they become family. And knowing that and understanding that we have respect for one another, we have synergy with one another, we're able to vibe off each other. That's what a true Cypher is. There's not a price tag that you can put on the work that we do, because we're privileged and honored to have a hand in gearing a child into rearing a child into a brighter future. And I would encourage instructors that are coming in to view it as such, to view it as not just a regular job, but to view it as an opportunity to do what you love and to get paid for it, to impact communities, to impact students' lives, and to leave at the end of the day so fulfilled, and at the end of a program, so fulfilled where our lives become enhanced. Our passion is being played out day by day in the work that we do. In the beginning, maybe she can start off. I love painting because.
Okay.
Oh, you seen that one?
Or-
Oh yeah, me and my mom watched that.
Wait, we have to be professional, guys.
Maybe you can say,
In the beginning. Wait, you saw that video? You saw that video? It's funny.
I know it's funny.
Me and my mom watched it and we couldn't stop laughing.
What do you like about Cypher Arts?
That I spend half of my quality time doing art, something that I love, and Cypher Arts is something that I would consider doing.
Cool. What would happen if there was no Cypher Art? How would you think your summer would be spent?
Pretty a little less relaxed and not in a good.
Yeah.
One thing that I like to do the most is dance.
How does dance make you feel?
It just makes me feel happy, and in my opinion, it just gives me a big smile on my face, and it's just fun.
Why do you think teamwork is important?
Because in certain games or activities, or even scenarios like life, you can use teamwork to get a question right or do better.
Little ninja game where you have to like pose and you can usually play with a lot of people, but it works for 2 people as well. So like you put your arms out, and if somebody hits your hand, then you have to put it behind you.
Ninja teaches where you had to focus where you're going to move so you could hit. So you're focusing where you're going to put your hands to get the other person's hand very quickly. Probably because I like sketching, because I like using the colors, then I can make it look blend in so it looks perfect.
Do you think you're gonna do art all your life?
Probably. I'm probably gonna do art or probably do soccer.
Yeah?
I'm chasing my dreams art.
It's the last week for us.
Oh, okay. Have you been in Cypher Arts before?
No, this is the first time.
How do you like it so far?
Really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really fun.
Oh, good. Very good.
I really like the Nathan and Alfonso.
Yeah? Why?
Mostly because they give compliments, because I'm a good painter and a good poet according to Nathan.
Oh.
And yeah, the first poem I made, I showed to him, which was the one I made in his class, and he said, "That's really good for the first ever one you've made."
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the first one I've made, and he said it was really good.
Did that feel good to get like a
Yes.
compliment about that?
Yes, I barely get compliments.